It wasn't much of a policy speech, but it was what it was supposed to be for the people in that room. So I want you to hear a little bit of what she had to say. She did speak about the border.
After decades in law enforcement, I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border. Last year, Joe and I brought together Democrats and conservative Republicans to write the strongest border bill in decades. The Border Patrol endorsed it. But Donald Trump believes a border deal would hurt his campaign. So he ordered his allies in Congress to kill the deal. Well, I refuse to play politics with our security, and here is my pledge to you. As president, I will bring back the bipartisan border security bill that he killed, and I will sign it into law.
So let's start there. I mean, I guess we're going to be stuck on just a few comments. First of all, the Border Patrol did not endorse that plan. What the Border Patrol, because Brandon Judd, the head of the Border Patrol union, came on this show and said, there are some terrible things in there, but there's enough in there to bring to debate. And we should then take that way during debate. You can make amendments to get rid of the horrible things that are in it. When Joe Biden said during his debate with Donald Trump that ended up being the demise of his presidency, that he was endorsed, Brandon Judd within seconds said, I have never and will never endorse Joe Biden. Secondly, she has been the border czar for over 3 years. You can say she hasn't. She was assigned. They made a big deal of it that the president was asking the vice president to fix the border, and she didn't. So, and then there's one last thing, and I hope everybody will look this up because I think this is going to become an issue. I think that debates are important, and if she is able to convince the voters, then she deserves the presidency. But I want you to just go to any search engine and put in HR 2. HR 2 was passed almost a year and a half ago. HR 2 is a border security measure that was passed in the House of Representatives and sent over to the Senate. The Senate never let it see the light of day. Chuck Schumer never brought it up for debate, never brought it up for discussion, never, ever. So if this is how this is going to go. When you speak in a vacuum, when you are in a room full of people that would never criticize you if you had an opportunity or question what you said, she did a great job last night. She got the cheer lines, the applause lines when she needed them. But these are the things that will come out when there is a debate. And the idea, and what's interesting is that they're already giving Donald Trump more power than he deserves. Donald Trump killed a bill when he wasn't elected to anything. So this is, when it comes to the debates, I think we're going to start seeing some clarity. Also, this here, and I understand, I think I'm going to wade into some trouble. When she did go on, she talked about the topic of Donald Trump and abortion.
He and his allies would limit access to birth control, ban medication abortion, and enact a nationwide abortion ban with or without Congress. And get this, he plans to create a national anti-abortion coordinator and force states to report on women's miscarriages and abortions. Simply put, they are out of their minds.
You know, the odd thing about this is, again, I always talk about people, I like to play poker. And you talk about people overplaying their hand, and they make a mistake sometimes with a bluff, and they overplay their bluff, or they overplay their hand, and they end up getting everybody to fold too quickly. It doesn't matter. It's a poker analogy. They overplay their hand. Planned Parenthood was at the DNC this week giving free vasectomies on Monday and free abortions all week long. So that is, I think, overplaying your hand on that topic. At the same time, this idea that there's going to be a national ban is ridiculous, I think. It's my opinion. But her speech last night, as she talked about what they're going to do. She talks about the bad idea on taxes. Trump doesn't care about the middle class. What you'd expect. The comments about the middle class. Here's what she said about Donald Trump doesn't care about the middle class.
He doesn't actually fight for the middle class. He doesn't actually fight for the middle class. Instead, he fights for himself and his billionaire friends. And he will give them another round of tax breaks.
Now, remember, this is the person that said that we have got to get rid of political division and that she is going to be a president for all Americans. And yet it's the middle class. It's this group. It's that group. It's not everybody. This isn't a speech for all Americans. This is now, if you remember, I picked the Trump speech apart as well. And the complaint I had about the Trump speech after the first 12, 13 minutes, whatever it was, is that he spoke to the room of people that were cheering for him in that room. He didn't look into the camera, and he didn't speak to the entire nation. That was my feeling on it, that I thought he missed an opportunity after the assassination attempt where he had the entire world watching. He had an opportunity with that speech to look into the camera and speak to the country in the way he did in the first 12 or 13 minutes of that speech. That's just my personal opinion. My opinion on this here is we are seeing the same things. She talked about the Trump tax ideas being bad ideas. I think this is quite possibly the most dangerous thing she did last night.
He intends to enact what in effect is a national sales tax, call it a Trump tax, that would raise prices on middle-class families by almost $4,000 a year.
She wants to raise the corporate tax rate to 28%. She wants the capital gains tax to be over 44%. And she wants a 25% tax on people worth over $100 million on unrealized gains. If you're going to talk at that convention about taxes, I think this is the most dangerous thing for her to do. She should lay out her economic plan on the website and never talk about it again until she is asked the question. Donald Trump wants to cut the corporate tax rate down to 15%. There's a lot of small businesses that would love that. The ideology of keeping more of your own money makes perfect sense to most people. So again, picking apart these speeches is one thing. The idea that we're going to get answers from these convention speeches on who the next president should be is just not true. The honeymoon will be over this next week. The vice president is going to have to sit down for debates. At some point, she's going to have to answer questions from the media. And I think that's when we're going to find out if she is truly qualified to be president. The American people are going to decide. You know where I stand. I know where I stand. But there are some undecided voters out there. There are people who could be swayed. And it is that is where I think they did a good job of their convention. I'll be honest with you. I think they did what they needed to do at their convention. They rallied the troops. There are people leaving Chicago energized and ready to go spread the message throughout the country. And that's exactly what these conventions are supposed to do.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.